Hi there. I'm Lissa McNaughton, and I'm an advisor here at Atlas Private Wealth Management. And we're so glad you could join us today. We're going to spend a short time talking about some of the scams and the fraudsters preying upon us today. Here's where it all started. In the 1800s, thousands of Chinese workers came to this country to help build the Transcontinental Railroad and brought with them snake oil, which really was a very effective topical pain reliever for these laborers. But just like all scams, what starts out as legitimate can be co-opted by bad guys that steal from us. So that really effective snake oil from China morphs into canola oil in a bottle being sold by the traveling salesman who is nowhere to be found when I realize my treatment doesn't work. Flim flam and con artists, well, they proliferated in the 20s and 30s. Maybe you remember the movie The Sting, that was set in the 30s. Fraudsters have been around forever. And part of the reason why we fall for scams is because they're rooted in legitimate products and services. So we're going to take a look at a few of them over the next few minutes. But before we do, there's a few things that you should take note of. Atlas is a registered investment advisor, which means we act as a fiduciary for our clients. For this presentation, however, we're not acting in a fiduciary capacity because this presentation is simply for educational and informational purposes and should not be taken as tax or investment advice. The information presented in the next few minutes is not specific to any personal circumstances, so it may not be suitable for all individuals. And as always, past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Okay, so let's get started. Number one, fake charities. Fake charities, this can happen online, on the phone, or in person. And regardless of how you're solicited, be sure to verify that the charity is legitimate. And remember, it can happen to anyone. It's an easy one for fraudsters. This scam preys upon our emotions and our desire to help others. So we've seen it: war, natural disasters, sickness. We feel for people in need. Now, you should always check the legitimacy of a charity through either the Better Business Bureau, Charity Navigator, GuideStar, or the Wise Giving Alliance. All right, number two, social media scams. And there's a few of these. Investment scams most recently came in the form of investing in cryptocurrency with the promise of double or triple the amount in returns. Always be skeptical of unsolicited offers to invest. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Online shopping. Now, typically, these offers offer deals of very expensive items at ridiculously low prices. So don't follow links in emails or social media posts. Look up the company, go directly to the company. And if you're going to do business with a company you've never used before, do an online search for reviews. And then there's romance scams. Romance scams have also been around forever, but COVID provided a wealth of opportunity. We were stuck at home, many all alone and lonely, and social media became a social life for many of us. Your new online friend needs a small loan, and then another one, and then another one, until they vanish and move on to another victim. So be careful. Don't connect with somebody that you don't know, or if you do, just proceed with caution. Be concerned if they won't video chat or FaceTime with you. The romance scam is always challenging because there's so many emotions involved, and oftentimes our emotions cause us to make unwise decisions. So look for warning signs, things like professing love too quickly, isolating you from family or friends, claims to be working or living far away but happens to have a P.O. box in the US. All of those should raise the red flags. All right, number 3, tech support or remote access scams. Tech support scams most often begin with a phone call or a pop-up on your monitor. The fraudster convinces me that my computer has a virus, and then they'll convince me to give them access to my computer. They'll remote in so they can, in theory, fix my computer. And then they access so many of the things that we do on our computers: banking, investing, shopping, transferring money. Don't grant access to your computer from an unsolicited request. Don't call a phone number in an unsolicited virus notification, and never give anyone your passwords or security codes. You should back up your data regularly, and you should sign up for two-factor authentication whenever possible. All right, number 4, tax fraud scams, tax refund scams. Tax refund frauds happen when somebody has gotten a hold of your social security number. Typically, they file your tax return very early in the year, and then they steal your tax refund. So always make every effort to keep your social security number secure. And if you do fall victim to this fraud, you file IRS form 14039. And then remember, the IRS never calls anyone. They only communicate through the U.S. Postal Service. All right, next one, number 5, unemployment benefits fraud. Unemployment fraud was another scam that grew dramatically during COVID. I was even a victim of this one. The fraudster files an unemployment claim in your name. Now, your employer will notify you of a claim, and you should report the crime to both your state and federal government and consider credit monitoring. Number 6, credit card or loan scams. This fraud happens when somebody applies for a credit card or a loan in your name. And oftentimes the fraudster will use your information and change your address. So these frauds can go unnoticed for quite some time. It's likely you'll learn of the fraud when you get a call from the collection agency because you haven't been making payments on your loan or your credit card. So if the fraudster has changed your mailing address, you might get a little warning because you've stopped receiving mail. You should report this kind of fraud to identitytheft.gov, and also place a freeze on your credit report, and even consider filing a police report. Let's see, number 7, the grandparent scam. You get a call from your granddaughter or grandson. They've been arrested. Someone else had the drugs or the alcohol. Please don't tell mom. Here, and then they hand the phone to somebody saying, here's the police or the attorney that you should talk to. They tell you what to do. This is not your grandson or granddaughter. It's the fraudster. So what do? Call your son, call your daughter, or your granddaughter or your grandson on their phone and find out what they're doing before you do anything. And remember, no legitimate professional like a lawyer gets paid in gift cards. Number 8, this is the imposter scam. You get a call from an investment firm or your bank or a mortgage lender or an insurance company asking you to read back a passcode that was just sent to you. This allows the fraudster to reset your password. None of these institutions will ever ask for your account access. Never give passcodes, passwords, codes, security questions, or the answers to anybody on the phone, email, or the internet. And be careful, don't answer those social media questions that ask for your first dog's name or the city you grew up in or your favorite movie. They seem like harmless, fun quizzes, but they can give a fraudster information to help access your account security questions. So that's a few of them. That's eight of the most popular frauds that we see today. So what we would recommend to you is to try and be safe and vigilant. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, but it's a start. As we all know, the snake oil salesman, the con artist, the flim-flam man, they're always evolving and they're always developing new opportunities to steal from us. And remember, it's not always online. Sometimes they walk right up to your front door. The driveway paving scammers is just one example. You've probably heard of that one, right? The paver just did a job close by. He has a little bit of blacktop left over and can do your driveway at a ridiculously low price. Always remember, you get what you pay for, and if it's too good to be true, it is. So be wary of threatening calls. Don't send money to someone you don't know. Enroll in two-factor authentication whenever it's possible. We typically use for our clients Charles Schwab as a custodian and Fidelity. Both Schwab and Fidelity allow for clients to set up two-factor authentication. Never give your password to somebody else. And if you've been a victim, be sure to report it to the Federal Trade Commission and any affected financial institutions, and notify at least one of the credit bureaus. One of the things you could consider is simplifying your financial life. And that means consolidating investment accounts, consolidating bank accounts, holding a limited number of credit cards. So enable any of the options that your institutions make available to safeguard your life. It might seem like a little more work when you're logging in somewhere to get that text and enter the number, but in the end, it's safer. We've got a document that we've created that we call My Personal Atlas that helps our clients organize their lives. So if you need that, please contact your advisor. And if you are a victim of fraud, be sure to get a notebook and make an entry of everyone you talk to, making a note of the date, the time, the company you're talking to, and what was discussed, and the person's name. Sometimes the fix will take several calls to several departments, and it'll be helpful for you to be able to say, well, I first reported this to Charlie on September 12th at 9 a.m. And remember, ask for help if you think you've been scammed. It's hard and it can be embarrassing, but it only gets more complicated the longer you work or the longer you wait. I used to work with someone who always used to say, bad news doesn't get better with age. So the sooner you fix the problem or get help to fix the problem, the better off you'll be. And if you're worried about asking a family member for help, talk to your Atlas advisor. So thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you found this information helpful, and perhaps there's a few things you can implement in your life to make things just a little bit safer. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or your Atlas advisor. Be safe out there.